Today is all about Enzo Maresca, the Chelsea manager, and today we are going to go over his 4-2-3-1. Not the best start against Man City, but I do think as the season goes on, they are going to pick up some form somewhere, hopefully. But today we have got three tactics. We've got a normal version, a more attacking version designed for powerhouses, a weaker team for your underdog team. So if you are playing any sort of save, we've got you covered today. So be sure to look at all three of the tactical breakdowns. We're going to get right into it. But first, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Let's get into the tactic. So when it comes to actually creating this tactic, we are simply going to load in a create your own style and load in your basic 4-2-3-1. Before we go over to that next part, I will say this is all done off a positive mentality. And this is going to be your 4-2-3-1, obviously a very common used formation in the Premier League. And now we're going to go over the player roles because there's quite a few custom instructions, and honestly, when put together correctly, it works really, really well. Of course, if you're looking to get access to all three of these tactics today, you want them on mobile, you want them on console, you want them early, you want my rebuild files, which we are also going to be posting now, rebuild challenge files, where I set up a certain save to hopefully you FM masterminds to go and conquer it. You also want loads of other perks, including access to this month's giveaway. You can come over and join the Patreon and join over 4,800 people, where it's the biggest community going. You can come and get loads of perks, and it's a ton of fun. Do not waste another second. Let's go through and talk through this team then. So we are going to go with a sweeper keeper who is simply going to be set to support. Again, I don't really feel like the Chelsea goalkeeper does anything too crazy. He's definitely not coming out to the halfway line or anything like that, so we are going to keep it nice and simple. Now when it comes to that right back, we are going to go ahead right away and actually deploy an inverted fullback on defend on the right hand side. But when it comes to the back line, on the left hand side, we are actually going to deploy an inverted fullback who is simply going to be set to defend, and he is going to have one instruction or two instructions that is going to be set to mark tighter and also tackle harder. So quite a composed sort of player at the back, to be honest with you. Nothing too crazy, and at the end of the day, just really, really solid. Now on the right hand side, we are going to go with an inverted wing back on support, and he is also going to have some instructions that is going to consist of dribble more and also tackle harder. So this side, he is going to be a little bit more sort of aggressive, dribbling with the ball, obviously the same as the inverted fullback in terms of the tackling, but a bit more of freedom when it comes to dribble with the ball. Now when it comes to both of the defenders in the back line, we are going to go with two ball playing defenders who are both simply going to be set to support, so nice and simple. And as back lines go, that actually is quite a defensive back line, which is why we can afford to go quite attacking as we build up this team, which you're going to see very shortly. Now we are going to drag both of these players up because we're not playing with a deep 4-2-3-1 in the balance variant. I will say you're going to see the results very shortly. The results you're going to see are with Chelsea and Frankfurt for this certain tactic, but of course we're then going to go through an attacking version and an underdog version, so be sure to stick around. On the left hand side, we are going to deploy a box to box, and on this player I've kept him semi-tame. He has got some instructions. They are going to be set to move into channels and tackle harder, which is quite balance compared to some of the instructions I put on my meta tactics, for example. But this Chelsea midfield honestly isn't too crazy, nothing too special about it, just get the job done. And of course we are going to partner him with the quite obvious role in the team, the ball winning midfield player, who is simply going to be set to support, because the one instruction I would have added is tackle harder, and he's already got it, so don't really need to add anything on that one. Now on the left hand side, it is going to actually be a winger on attack, and we are going to load that right in, and he is going to be told to cut inside, roam, and also tackle harder. And also on the right hand side, we are going to back that up with another winger on attack who is simply going to be told to roam, cut inside, and of course tackle harder. Now a little bit of advice for you back home: if you have got good wingers with very good shooting, you can have shoot more often on. Now I don't like to have that on in the default tactic because I know some people come here, watch 30 seconds of the video, get the tactic, and assume it will work like magic. It's down to you to obviously make the certain tweaks to your certain players. So if you have got good wingers with good shooting, then that is definitely a change you could do. Now in the midfield, we are going to go where Cole Palmer got a lot of his game time as the advanced playmaker on support, and we're going to have him on to move into the channels, roam, and also tackle harder. So what I like so far is we are going to have three players very aggressive, all in the line on that tackle harder. Of course the players behind him going to be putting in the challenges, which we love to see. And we don't stop there because we are going to finish it off with the obvious deep line forward on tackle harder as well. So it's quite an aggressive system, quite an attacking system, because although the defense is actually quite tame, the box to box will get forwards, the ball winning midfield player probably won't too much, but the rest of the players will create really, really well. And Cole Palmer in this system, he performed really well. Of course, over to the team instructions. Again, the clean slate on the positive mentality. We're going to leave this in the middle. We're going to pass into the space. We're going to make 2 underlapping runs on the left and on the right because, of course, if them inverted players are going to push up, it makes sense to do it. And also, it does create quite an unpredictable sort of game style. We're going to play out from the back because we have got 2 ball-playing defenders, and we've got 2 midfield players who can sort of come back, get the ball, and carry it forward. We are then going to go with the tempo, not maxed out, but 2 slightly higher, with a shorter passing directness. We're also going to add on be more expressive, low crosses, and of course, work ball into the box. So the chances you're going to create are going to be really high quality. You're going to have quite a fair bit of the ball because of the passing directness. It really is a great tactic for that sort of style. Now, I will say, if you do struggle to score goals, you can remove work ball into the box off. Yes, this will mean you might have some useless shots on the edge. For example, they might go past the post, over the bar, whatever that is. But if you do want to open up more shots on target, or off target, shall I say, that would be a very good example. Now, in transition, we are going to go with counter press. We're going to go with counter. We're going to play to anyone across the back line while rolling the ball out. So nice and simple. Again, not many risks being taken, to be honest, in that regard. And lastly, we are going to go over and break down the outer possession, where it is going to be set to the higher defensive line, the high pressing line of engagement. We're going to have more often when it comes to the trigger press. We're going to prevent short goalkeeper distribution, and we are simply going to step up more. The reason, if you are wondering why I've not got to get stuck in on, is because with tackle harder, it's a bit too much. You'll get so many bookings, it will be quite frustrating. So we're going to leave that nice and blank. But let's go and see how we done with Chelsea and Frankfurt. With Chelsea, we did enjoy actually quite a good season. As you can see, we are going to be Premier League champions, so we'll go and have a little look at that first. And as you can see, only losing 3 games. We've got Nkunku and Jackson in 2nd and 3rd place when it comes to the goals being scored. Also the average rating, and Nkunku's 2nd most assists in the league. When it comes to clean sheets, we are not going to be in the top 3, I don't believe. Well, we are based off the stats, but not down to individual players. 1st place when it comes to fewest conceded, fewest shots, most shots, and the most goals. Now, possession-wise, we're actually very, very good. With 60% of the ball, teams like Arsenal and Man City, I don't really think we've got the quality to out-possession. Liverpool, maybe we did have, just didn't get it done. But these 2 teams, they're the kings of possession, really. But still, a very, very good season. Now, of course, the rest of the cups, the Carabao Cup, semi-finals, not too bad. And the 4th round, Manchester United a little bit too strong. But do you know what? To win the Premier League is more than enough for me. A fantastic season. I was going to take anything inside the top 4 as somewhat of a success, but winning it, it's a cherry on top. But going over to the data hub, we are going to be looking at 2.95 goals per game. Only 0.76 conceded, over 16.5 shots a game, nearly a 90% pass completion, and a very, very high tackle win ratio. So do you know what? In terms of stats, in terms of success, it's a very good season. And they beat us in the Cup, but they did not beat us in the Premier League, and that is going to be against Manchester United, a 3-0 win, with Jackson getting the goals going inside of 10 minutes. Now 65 minutes on the clock, Pedro Neto down the left, in the middle, into Raheem Sterling to make it 2-0, and it's going to be time for one more with Shabalala into Enzo, into Caicedo, with the new man Neto. It's an easy game. Probably the most impressive set of results in this sort of tactic breakdown, because we actually have a treble winning season with Frankfurt, a great season. We'll start with the Pokel, I guess. A 3-1 win over Borussia Dortmund in extra time. Quite a dramatic game in that regard against a top German team. The Conference League, we're going to scrape 1-0 against Aston Villa, but I'll scrape any trophy, we will take it. And the Bundesliga, well, the Bundesliga was incredible. We only lose 3 games again. We beat Bayern, Leipzig, Borussia Dortmund, Bayer Leverkusen, Borussia Mönchengladbach. 34 goals, 19 goals, 1st and 3rd. 3 plays in the average rating, 2 plays in the most assists, 1 being an old school player in Mario Götze, and Kevin Trapp picks up the most amount of clean sheets. And if I'm not mistaken, yeah, we're going to take home almost every stat line again. Similar possession, 59%, most dribbles, fewest conceded, most clean sheets, most shots, most goals, and the most points per game. Now, I will say 88 is not like the most goals. Usually, you know, for a high scoring tactic, you would be looking at 100 goals plus realistically, but that's still got the job done quite easily. It's 22 more than Bayern Munich, so I don't know why I'm complaining. But going over to the data hub, we are going to be seeing 2.59 goals a game, only 0.44 conceded. So if you do the quite basic maths, we are enjoying obviously a 2-goal comfort cushion every single game, over 13.9 shots a match, a great pass completion. This is literally 0.5 off 90. It's a really, really strong tactic. Into that Pokel final, we actually did take the lead. Inside of 41 minutes, a great ball in the box and an even better finish. Now, even with Dortmund cheating, they still had Füllkrug in the team. I thought he was at West Ham. Obviously, I've not made that transfer. he makes them go 1-1 basically, but in extra time, they collapse right towards the end with Mario Götze down the right, back inside, awful goalkeeping there from Cabell, and time for one more, literally right in the middle of the second half of extra time. Larson into Götze against his former team. Of course, now we're going to go over a tactic for those that play in as powerhouses, or if you want to try and score more goals or you need a goal desperately, you can of course use this attacking variant. So the goalkeeper is going to remain the same. The inverted wingback on the right and the left are going to change a little bit. They're both now, for starters, going to be both inverted wingbacks, not a fullback in there, both on support. On the left, we are going to have dribble more, get further forwards, tackle harder and mark tighter. On the right, simply dribble more and tackle harder. Both of the ball playing defenders are going to remain exactly the same. The box to box on the left is now going to be on get further forwards, move into the channels and tackle harder. So again, a lot more progressive when it comes to the attack. We're going to scrap the ball with a midfield player and introduce a deep line playmaker on support. On more direct passes, a player to sit deep and look at the runs from this sort of front four, because they make some good runs, I can tell you that. The winger on the right is going to now be on attack, on cut inside, shoot more often, roam and tackle harder, and that's going to be exactly the same for the left hand side. And in the middle, we are going to have an attacker midfield player on attack, on take more risks, dribble more, roam from the position, and also move into the channels. And this system here, the wingers, the attacker midfield player, the box to box, the DLP, the inverted wingbacks actually getting forwards, is all going to help the cause for the deep line forward, who remains exactly the same. Again, we are going to go on the clean slate. This time we're going to work our way up to an attacking mentality. We're going to leave this in the middle, we're going to pass into the space, we're going to underlap right, underlap left, while playing out from the back. Since we are going to be a little bit more sort of aggressive, a little bit more attacking, we are going to max out the tempo. So, you know, that is going to be more strenuous on the players, but if you are playing as a powerhouse, you're going to have better players anyway. Or if you are chasing a goal, you're only really going to be putting your players through, what, 20-30 minutes of this style. So I wouldn't worry too much. Just rest, rotate and train. You'll be completely fine. We're going to put this down to shorter. We're going to be more expressive, work ball into the box and low crosses. Now, exactly the same thing does apply with what I mentioned about work ball into the box. If you've got a lot of players with good finishing, I wouldn't even have it on, because usually anyone then who has a shot is at least going to contribute to a set piece, and if you've got my set pieces, you're going to score a lot of goals. In transition, we are going to go over and have a few instructions: counter press, counter, place anyone across the back line while rolling the ball out. And again, it is an attacking tactic, so we are going to get the ball moving quite quickly. And lastly, out of possession, we are going to go with the much higher defensive line. We're going to step up more, much more often on the trigger press, and prevent short goalkeeper distribution. Now, the team we used to test with this, I've actually forgot, so I'll have a little look live. That is actually going to be Leicester. So let's go over and see what we've done with Leicester. I think we've done pretty well. I remembered pretty well because we enjoyed a fantastic season with Leicester. We'll discuss the championship very shortly because we nearly went invincible out of 46 games. We win the Carabao Cup against Newcastle in 1-0 fashion. Quite a hard competition to win with a championship team. But obviously the real bread and butter is going to be this championship. 41 wins, 4 draws and just 1 loss. Mavidi and Fatu come in with 44 and 40 goals. These two players, obviously both on the wings, contribute a majority of the goals, and you will see that in this tactic. Sometimes the wingers are going to outscore the striker because of course it is a deep line forward. He will still score goals, but if you are playing in a team where maybe you haven't really got a deep line forward you could use an advanced forward, but then it would take away goals from the wide areas. So you can't have it all. You got to pick either the wingers getting the goals or the deep line forward being converted to an advanced forward, something like that, and of course he can be the goal scorer. But in terms of player stats, a really convincing season. 3 players in the most assists, 3 players in the average rating as well. And if we actually look at this, we had 63% possession, the fewest conceded, over 1,100 dribbles, most clean sheets, most shots, most goals. No one was anywhere near us when it comes to the goals being scored. A really strong season, and of course a double winning season. And the team that knocked us out with the FA Cup is literally ourselves. But if we go over to that data hub, we can see 3.7 goals per game, 0.85 conceded, over 20.7 shots a match, an 89% pass completion, and a very good tackle win ratio. So you can see you're going to concede a little bit more, but score roughly about 0.7 more compared to what we did with Chelsea. So if you are playing as a powerhouse, I would highly recommend using this tactic. Or if you're struggling in the game, you're 0-0, you're 1-0 down, you need a goal, definitely get this tactic. Now, of course, you can save yourself a ton of time by going over to the Patreon and downloading all three, but you can simply copy it click for click, as we've just done the breakdown live on video. But let's watch a highlight, and then we'll get into the underdog tactic. So quite a strong team with the Championship, Norwich. I'm pretty sure we'd all agree. We've made absolute light work of them. 1-0 inside of 11 minutes. A great bit of play there. James Justin into Fatawu, into the box, into the top left to make it 2. And credit to Norwich, they don't completely fold. They get a goal here, and it was actually quite a well-worked goal, to be honest. But after this goal went in, for some reason, they did collapse. As soon as they concede this one, a great bit of press there, and I believe an own goal there from Fisher might be why they fumbled completely, because after that goal went in, they completely just switched off. Daka makes it 4, and I believe there's time for one more. There is, to make it 5. Again, the wide area is doing everything. It's made to look so easy. For those of you that plays underdog teams, or you're simply trying to defend a game out, you're going to need this tactic as well. Now, this tactic genuinely worked really well with the underdog we tested with, which I believe was Mirandes, obviously over in Spain. It performed so well. So I would say, if you are playing with anything sort of under the top 10, definitely give this tactic a whirl, because it is absolutely incredible. The goalkeeper is simply going to be on support. The inverted wingback on the right, now on defend, on tackle harder and mark tighter. The inverted fullback now on defend, on tackle harder and mark tighter. Both of the ball playing defenders remain exactly the same. The two centralised midfielders now drop to DMs, and we are going to have a DM on the left, on defend, on the default, and a supportive ball winning midfield player simply on the default again, because he's got the tackle harder already. Now, both of the wingers on the left and on the right are going to be mirrored, so exactly the same. Both on support, on take fewer risks, cut inside, roam, and also tackle harder, with the advanced playmaker still remaining on support, on roam, move into the channels, and also tackle harder. Now, what I have done with that deep lying forward is dropped him down from attack to support. It's a little bit closer to the rest of the pack, and it will obviously help us have a risk-free passing style, and he is going to remain simply on tackle harder. So, of course, with this tactic, you are not going to score as many goals, but when it comes to possession, defensive record, you're going to be clear. We're actually now going to be on the balance mentality, still on the clean slate. This remains in the middle. We're going to pass into the space, because I still want the wingers being comfortable to make them runs, get into different areas of space, and I want people looking for it. We are going to go with the low crosses, with work ball into the box on. Now, this is where the tactic has quite a big change, so pay attention to this. We are still going to play out from the back, by the way. The directness is going to go all the way down to much shorter. Now, I'm going to talk through this in the video, because it's very, very game dependent. If you're taking this into an entire season, ignore the next 10 seconds of the video. If you're in a game and you're defending a game out, have time wasting and play for set pieces, all the way maxed out on the time wasting and play for set pieces. But if you're playing an entire season, you don't need that on from the rip. In transition, we are going to go with counter press. We're going to hold the shape when we've got the ball. We're going to slow the pace down. Again, that is for when you're in a game or you're time wasting, any scenario. Slow the pace down so it's nice and risk-free. Let the team reset, get back in their correct positions. We're going to play to anyone across the back line while rolling the ball out. And lastly, we are going to go ahead and look at out of possession, where we are going to have the standard defensive line, the high pressing line of engagement, step up more. This is bang on in the middle, and prevent short goalkeeper distribution. So playing this way, a lot more defensive. How did we do? This is how we done, guys. This is how we done. We actually managed to win the Spanish double. We won everything available to us at Mirandes. A Spanish Cup we are going to lift over Barcelona in 3-2 fashion, which I think says a lot about this tactic. And we are going to watch that final, and I'm going to discuss exactly the sort of plays I made to win that. Now, going over to the Spanish second division, we are going to go right in and actually see a great season. Now, of course, we're not going to be as attacking as I say that. We have still got the highest top goal scorer and the second, but we are going to have some draws creeping in, some losses as well, because you're not going to have necessarily always that killer instinct, but consistency wise, we only lost 4 games out of 42 with a weak team. Come on, we can't be complaining about anything really. It's still a great season. 3 players in the average rating, the most clean sheets, loads of players in the most assists, and again, we're looking at a team with 60% possession, outscoring everyone, even while playing quite a defensive way of playing football. Most shots, most points, a really, really good season, and the data hub again, 3 goals a game. So I've said it's defense. We're still scoring 3+ goals a game with a weak team in the league, 0.74 conceded, a 90% pass completion. I don't even want to talk about this. I want to go and see the Barcelona game. I used the defensive variant for the entire cup final. I did not tweak it. I did not change it. I stuck with it. And even from the start, we make it 1-0 inside of 10 minutes. So I knew we were onto something right here. What I didn't like is when Barcelona did score inside of 40 minutes. And this is where a lot of players make mistakes because they panic. They're like, oh, Barcelona are back into the game. I need to go more attacking, get the lead back instantly. Just calm down. You'll be completely fine. Stick with what you've got. And as you can see, that happened again. And you'll see very shortly after this goal went in, a great goal that is, we actually made the lead 3-1. So from this point onwards, despite this goal going in, which we will watch very shortly, we were completely in control of the game. They got a goal back in the 92nd minute, which literally meant nothing, so there's no need to stress about it. It's going to be 3 tactics in this video. Hopefully you have enjoyed the Enzo Maresca Chelsea, all 4-2-3-1s, but all very, very different styles. If you have enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. If you do want to show any love back to the channel, you can go over to that Patreon and join the other 4,800 people, and over there you get so many perks, it's absolutely unreal. These tactics alone, you get them on mobile, get them on console, you get the rebuild files. We're doing a lot with rebuilds now as well, so if you do like rebuild challenges, you want to, you know, have some fun, because I know the game's a little bit dead at the moment, I'm going to be making sort of special saves with certain challenges where I'm going to put some prizes up for people that do complete them. You can come over to that rebuild section on the Patreon and get involved, and I'll be seeing you in the next one.